Hi, Chris Thompson here again with the Amiga Guide. Today I'm going to show you my setup on Workbench on Amiga OS 3.2. As you can see over here, it's saying no signal. That's because I haven't turned my Amiga on yet, so I will do that right now. And this will now boot into 3.2. And as you can see, I have like a little boot screen. I will show how to do that at a later date. So this is my setup, how I have it on Amiga OS 3.2, and these icons actually, like this one right here that you can see highlighted, I actually made that icon myself using Photoshop. I will go into how to make these icons also at a later date, but it involves PNGs and what have you, and I will show you how to do all that. I also have a icon library that I'm using that doesn't come with Amiga OS 3.2, that just makes the icons look slightly better and whatnot. We'll also go into that. We'll go into that in this video. I'm just going to show you how my workbench looks and what I have on here and all that good stuff. So in the top here it says Amiga OS 3.2. That would normally say Amiga Workbench Release 3.2, but I went into the preferences and made it so it says Amiga OS 3.2 because I think it looks better. It says that I have an 020, so I've got a 68 020 because it's a Commodore Amiga A1200 with no accelerator card in there, so it's just using the bog standard 68020. I have a 882 FPU in there because I have a card which I bought from Amigakit, which is you've probably seen on one of my other videos. It's a card from Amigakit which plugs into the trapdoor port, which gives you 8 meg of fast RAM and 4 meg of flash, and this flash allows you to do like putting different kickstarts and everything on there. I'll give you a quick look actually of the flash configurator, which is this program here which I have highlighted. So if I go into that flash configurator, so the flash contents, what I've actually got in there is I've got a kickstart 1.3 ROM, a kickstart 2.05 ROM, a kickstart 3.0 custom ROM. It's custom ROM because I've got the extra the new icon library in there. 3.14 ROM, 3.1 ROM and a 3.2 custom ROM, because it has the icon library in there. If I go into the configurations then, and if I click, like for instance, on 1.3, you see that all that there is Kickstart 1.3. So if I was to choose that configuration, it would, this Amiga 1200 would boot up into 1.3, so it essentially acts like it's an Amiga 500, because 1.3 was on the Amiga 500, as people who've had an Amiga will probably know. I have Kickstart 2.05, which was on the Amiga 600. So, and I've got the Kickstart 2.05 ROM in there, but I've also got Move VBR in there, and the VBR is where all the what are they called again? Interrupts, where all the interrupts are basically stored, but they're normally stored in the address 0, which is chip RAM. But basically this Move VBR moves that VBR to fast RAM and just makes interrupts a lot faster. And I have Kickstart 3.0, and in brackets I've got onboard ROMs, because Kickstart 3.0 I haven't actually got as a ROM file. That's actually the built-in ROMs on my Amiga 1200. But I've got some extra files there. I've got DOS reset card, which that allows for, there's actually a bug with Amiga 1200. It might even be a bug on the 600 as well, I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. Where if you have a PCM CIA card plugged in to the PCM CIA slot, and you reset the Amiga, the PCM CIA card doesn't reset, so you can't use it until you turn off your Amiga and turn it back on, and then it works again. But that's a pain. That will actually allow the card to reset. And I've also got Move VBR in there, which obviously I've just told you what Move VBR is, and non-volatile.library. What non-volatile.library does is, on the CD32, there was no hard drive in the CD32. It basically had a non-volatile flash in there for saving your games and things, and basically this non-volatile.library will actually allow, if you run CD32 games under WHD load, which I'm going to show. I'm going to actually show after this, in this video. I will show a little bit of WHD load and some games and whatnot. It actually allows you to use the flash, which is on this card that I got from Amigakit, as non-volatile flash memory for CD32 games. I have Kickstart 3.1, which at the moment on there I've only got just the Kickstart 3.1 ROM file. I've got Kickstart 3.1.4. You need to always make sure if you have all the ROMs such as 1.3, 2.05, 3.0, 3.1, make sure you have a license for these. You can actually buy them from Cloanto with the Amiga Forever licensing, and 3.1.4 is not available through Cloanto. That's available through Hyperion, which also make 3.2. 3.2 being the latest one, 3.1.4 being the one before this. And there was actually an update for 3.1.4 called 3.1.4.1. So yeah, and in my 3.2 setup, I've got the 3.2 custom ROM, which, because inside the ROM using a program called Remus, which I'll go into later as well, I won't go into that in this video. I've added a custom icon library in there to have the better icons and whatnot, and I've also added the DOS reset card and Move VBR and the non-volatile library in there as well. So I will actually show you the configurations in action. So if I reset the 1200 and keep my finger down on F1, it will actually come up with this screen, which is very similar to the Amiga early startup. And you press the two mouse buttons. So it says Amigakit A1200 RAM/flash board, and it gives you the options of RAM settings and config. So the RAM settings, it says as jumpered brackets 8 meg. So I've got the jumper on the card as 8 meg because that's the full amount of memory that you can have on there. But if you want to use a PCMCIA card, you need to actually drop that memory down, because the 8 meg is using the same address as the PCMCIA card, so the PCMCIA card won't actually work if you try and use it with 8 meg. It doesn't work. So you have to then drop it down to either 4 meg fast plus 1.5 Ranger, which the 1.5 Ranger is actually what's known as slow RAM, which I don't generally use that if I'm using PCMCIA card. I will actually drop it down to just 4 meg and put the card in. I've actually got a card for going on the internet on there, which I will show that at a later date also. But I'll put this back up to 8 meg as jumpered 8 meg. So if I now ignore that one, that said bomb jacket, that was just something I was trying out with. It didn't work. So if I put that to Kickstart 1.3 and say reboot, that now boots into Kickstart 1.3, which will allow me to insert a disc and use any game or any program that is on discs on the Amiga 500 or the OCS chipset. Which the Amiga 1200 can't actually normally use the 1.3 kickstart, because the 1.3 kickstart actually comes on a 256 kilobyte chip, and it's just one chip, whereas the Amiga uses two chips, two 256k chips. So that's actually 512 kilobyte altogether, one being a high ROM and one being a low ROM. I'll come into that at another point, we don't have to get into that right now, but this actually allows you to have 1.3 on here. If I didn't have this card, the only way really I could go back down to 1.3 is by using something called Reload Kick, which I will show that at a later date also. And what that actually does is it's known as what it's called, a kicker, or it's called a degrader, and it actually puts that ROM, that 1.3 ROM, into RAM and then reboots the system, and you've got 1.3, so then you can run games or programs from the Amiga 500. But in my case I don't have to do that because I've got it on the card. So if I reboot again, holding down F1, it actually comes up with a thing looking like 1.3, which I quite like. So now if I go into 2.05 and reboot, it's saying not a DOS disk because I've actually got my hard drive in. So if I turn off my Amiga a second, I'll just quickly take my hard drive out, which is actually knocking stuff over. It's actually an 8 gig CF card, and I've actually got it set up so I've got a slot at the back of the Amiga, so I don't have to mess about opening my Amiga up just to take the hard drive out and whatnot. So I'll turn it back on with F1 down again, and we'll go to 2.05 and reboot, and there you can see, wait till that SCART thing goes off, there we go. You can see that we have 2.0 ROMs, it says. So this Amiga 1200 is now essentially acting like it's an Amiga 600. It won't even know that there's an AGA chipset in there. It'll just act like there's an ECS chipset. I'll go into all that. ECS, AGA, all that stuff at a later date, but if you're already into Amigas, you'll know what OCS, ECS, AGA and all that bump is anyway, but like I said, I will go into it at a later date. So if I now reset again and keep my finger down on F1 and go to Kickstart 3.0, and it says in brackets onboard ROMs, that's what's actually in my Amiga 1200. I could actually open it up, flash some EEPROMs. I do actually have an EEPROM burner. Flash some EEPROMs, whack them in there, and I could have 3.1 on there, I could have 3.2 on there, I could have whatever I want on there. But using this card that I have, it's a lot easier just doing it like this. So I just keep 3.1 in there, which is bog standard. I'd rather have the Amiga set up as it is, so if I take everything out, it's just as it was. So I can reboot again. And there we have it. That's the ROMs that are actually on my Amiga, which is 3.0 ROMs. And reset again and F1. And click on config again. Kickstart 3.1, which is obviously the next one up that they brought out. This is now on the Flash, which is on the Amigakit card. If you can hear that whooshing in the background, that's my fan on my PC, don't worry about that. .1 takes a while to boot. There we go. So 3.1, 40.068, and this was actually the last of the kickstarts to be done by Commodore, because as a lot of you know who were into Amigas and all that stuff, and Commodores and stuff, Commodore actually went bust, and there was no kickstarts, no workbenches, no nothing for years. And then Hyperion came along, and I will reboot and press F1 and show you. That's going to take a while to boot again, because it's actually booting the ROM. And yeah, well, takes a while. There we go. And the next one to come out was 3.1.4, which if I reboot, which actually comes on quite fast, a lot faster than 3.1. And if you notice now, there's actually the boing ball now rather than the Amiga tick, and it says 3.1.4 kickstart version 46.143 and copyright 2018, so years later after 3.1, and this time it's Hyperion Entertainment, because Commodore at this point don't exist anymore. And yeah, so Hyperion now own the rights, I think, to 3.1. Cloanto own the rights to the rest, and Hyperion own the rights to 3.1, so they've basically extended 3.1 by making it into 3.1.4, which adds like a few extra stuff to it, allows you to use hard drives bigger than 4 gig and a few other things. And then they brought out 3.1.4.1, which was an upgrade to 3.1.4, which came out not long after that did, but that was just a workbench upgrade, it wasn't an upgrade to the kickstart. and then I'll do a reboot again. They then brought out Kickstart 3.2, which is the one that is out now, the latest version, to go with, which is what fell over, to go with. So it came with this Amiga OS 3.2, so you got the Kickstart ROMs for all of the Amigas, that even includes the CD32, and the Workbench discs, but the Workbench discs haven't actually come on disc. You don't actually get them on disc. All you get is a CD, which I don't actually have a CD drive attached to my Amiga. So I went into WinUAE, which I will show you WinUAE at some point on here, which is Amiga emulator. Had that running on my PC and copied everything over that way. So all the Workbench discs are actually all ADFs, and ADFs are image files for Amiga discs. And ADF stands for Amiga Disk File, surprisingly enough. So yeah, this is 3.2 ROM, Kickstart version 47.96, copyright 2021. So this is the slap bang up-to-date version. So now I'm going to stick my hard drive back in, or CF card in this case. So turn the Amiga off, stick my hard drive back in, boot the Amiga back up again. And it comes up with my fancy boot screen. I did used to have like a little jingle on there, a little Windows jingle actually, but yeah, I've taken that off. Got a little bit annoying after a bit. So, but I actually have Windows pointers instead of the Amiga pointers. But I'm going to show you a few stuff on here what I have, like some of the games I have. So if I click on games, and if you can see these fancy icons, I made all those myself under Photoshop on the PC. So I've got each game categorized under each one of the companies that actually made those games. So for instance, if I click on Codemasters, I've got Fast Food and Quick Snacks Dizzy. I've got Little Puff in Dragonland. I've got Micro Machines, Treasure Island Dizzy, Fantasy World Dizzy. So if I click on Micro Machines, it comes up with the WHD load splash screen, and then it'll straight away just load straight up into Micro Machines. Turn the volume up a little bit on the game. So yeah, Micro Machines, and then I've got it set so that if you press F10, it just comes straight back out of the game again. So yeah, that's it for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.